Assalamu alaikum, guys. Today we're going to be exploring with you the simplest summary of the Holy Quran for all. Now, as the title suggests, that it's a structured approach to understanding the Quran in minutes. So 114 surahs in simplified bullet points, and we're going to see exactly how it's structured and what you can learn from it. I think a book that everyone needs, but a lot of us are missing, the understanding. We are not getting the points or the messages that this book is trying to convey. And the purpose of writing this book was mainly, I myself, faced this issue in my teens, where I was struggling to go through the longer surahs, and I just wanted a simple explanation. I wanted to know what this surah contains, and sometimes things would pop up in my head, and I wasn't sure if this is mentioned somewhere or not. And then the searching starts, which of course eventually led to an answer. But I just wish that there was a better way to find that. So this is just an effort to do that, so you guys don't have to go through that. So starting off, part is what we are referring to the juz here, and then the chapter are the surahs. So 30 parts and 114 surahs, and we're gonna see how it's structured for you guys. So as with all books, it starts with a glossary of terms, just so you know where I have used these abbreviations, what that means. A very simple and short table. Then some introduction explaining how the Quran is divided into smaller sections. And we have defined the Makki and the Madni surahs. And then we have actually explained here what each chapter includes. It's very simple. And within no time, you will be familiarizing yourself with the structure. So at the very top, we have the part name. In this case, the first part is Alif Lam Mim, and then we have in the blue bar, we have, and in the white text, we have the chapter name, which is the surah name, and then a small table, goes under each surah, explaining if it was a Makki surah, what the name means, what's the revelation order. All right, and then we dive into the topics. So I think a very good example to start with is Surah Al-Baqarah. All right, so before I go into that, I just want to explain to you that we have the small table, we have the topics covered in the surah, and then we have the reflect and understand questions. And I'm going to explain in the end of this video that we have 3 editions of this book. Depending on what fits your needs, you can choose the right one. The premium edition actually, of course, contains everything, so nothing is skipped here. So let's take the longest surah of the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, and see if how quickly we can go over the topics. And I think it's good for people who have memorized the Quran, good for people who are new to this and learning. And I think exceptionally needed for parents, where if they need to refer back to something, they can quickly come here and see, oh, these are the topics mentioned. And in some cases, if they want to explain in depth, that elaboration that's required sometimes for kids, they can actually go back to the Quran and, find that specific point and detail it out for them. So Surah Baqarah, as I mentioned, every surah has a small table. The meaning is the cow. It's a Madani surah, and the revelation order is 87. In the longer surahs, we have a small, we're setting the context on when it was revealed, what was actually happening at that point in time, so you get the right picture. So of course, this surah is covered across 3 parts. The part 1 topics are mentioned here. And you can see that they are structured and they're bulleted multi-level list. So we have 3 types of people. And then, we mentioned those 3 types, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, mu'mineen, munafiqeen, and kafirin. Then we have the topics continued, miracles of the Quran, condition of Bani Israel, story of Ibrahim alayhis salam. And then we have a separator, that's the part separator. So we are entering the next part, the next juz, which is sayaqul in this case. And then, the part 2 topics. So Surah Al-Baqarah is continued into the second part, and the part 2 topics are continued. And then similarly, you can see that it's a multi-level, very easy to understand. It's like a note-taking form, right? Like one would read a complete surah and take their own notes. So that effort has been done for you. Take a look at this, and the language used is extremely simple. So even kids, when they try to read this, they'll get the meaning out of it. It's simplified. Going down, we'll enter the third part. So Surah Al-Baqarah goes into Tilka Rusul, and the topics covered in part 3 are mentioned here, before ending the surah. So surah ends here, and then we have the reflect and understand questions. So there are about 17 reflect and understand questions before the third surah of the Quran starts. Now let me take you. So every surah is covered in a similar way. So imagine a surah that actually goes into 3 parts. You can just cover it or revise it or revisit it in like 10 minutes in bulleted forms. You'll exactly know, and I'm very certain doing it 3 or 4 times, you're going to memorize the the topics of pretty much all the surahs. if you stick to this format, and then implementing it, using it in everyday life, I think it's going to save you a lot of time. I would like to take you to the end of the book where we have some bonus sections. What we have there is we have a complete table, all right, and this is the table I'm talking about. So this surah names with meaning, I think it's a guide to memorization. Most of us struggle in even understanding or even knowing the meaning of the surah. So every surah name, except for the haruf al-muqatta'at, those this 200 letters, they have a meaning. So you can use this table and you have the names of the surahs with the meaning, but interestingly, you can take your own notes. So once you complete the whole book, once you go through the Quran in the multi-level list, you can take your own notes on whatever form you wanna, whatever helps you remember those terms. You can take your own notes, and I think this table can be, you can replicate it in Excel, in your own notepads, or whatever form of writing you prefer on your mobile devices. And then the book ends with some additional bonus writings that I have written, my blogs, just for you to take a look at it. So and now let me differentiate between the 3 editions. So the first edition that I spoke about, that I just showed you, this is the premium edition. So this contains the topics, the reflect and understand questions, and pretty much everything that we have to offer in this book. Now we do have a smaller version for those people who want to carry less weight, or they just want the summaries. This compact edition is only the summaries. It does not include the reflect and understand questions that are there after every surah, after every chapter. All right, so the third edition is the reflect and understand edition. This version is the smallest. It does not contain the summaries. So we came across people who already had the knowledge, mashallah, and they were hufaz, and they already memorized the Quran. They were looking for just the questions, and they want to refresh their knowledge. So this edition only contains the reflect and understand questions. I hope you like this. I hope you fall in love with this book. Jazakumullah khair for listening, and do let me know in your comments on what you liked and what I can improve upon, because the series, the work for kids and children is an ongoing effort. I'd love to hear from you. So do comment on what are your thoughts. Stay tuned for more. Assalamu alaikum.